Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another edition of Pathways to Excellence. I'm here with Jing Xuan, amazing girl right here, who recently just got back from Oxford. How do you feel?
Well, I went to Oxford for a student exchange and it wasn't really right down my degree and also my field of study, but I feel like it was a really good experience to know the outside world, to gain more exposure, and
Wow.
and most importantly, I think it's you experience and you get to live like the natives of the Britain. And it's a really fascinating one because through this 2-week program you are able to mix and also to learn with the locals, and this puts a different perspective into their education system and also life overall.
Wow, amazing. Cool. So, Jing Xuan, maybe could you tell us a little bit about yourself? So I think that right now you're a biomedical engineering student at the University of Malaya, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Jing Xuan and I, so we met basically at the Malaysian Students Technology Conference organized by the Young Malaysian Engineers Global Organization. It's a STEM-focused student organization that caters towards students who are interested in STEM careers, both in Malaysia and the United Kingdom. Jing Xuan essentially has not only gone into, studying STEM, but essentially has, if you basically think about her background right there, I don't even know how you do it right here. She's not just like a superstar student at UM studying biomedical engineering. She's also a musician extraordinaire. I think that you're a violinist, right?
Yeah,
you
I play piano as well.
A violinist, she plays the piano, she writes, she even wrote, if I'm not wrong, a love letter to the arts recently. I saw that. So super talented, incredible person right here. So yeah, maybe would you share a little bit about yourself? How you went along your educational journey?
Yeah, alright. So I started off in government schools at first in primary and secondary. So after secondary school, I had the option of going to A-levels or going to matriculation. And basically with my results in SPM, I had the feeling that I wouldn't get the full scholarship for A-levels anyway. But with my forecast result, it was good enough to get a partial scholarship at Sunway. So basically that's what I did, and I applied for it and I got it. They gave me 20,000. But the thing was, for matriculation, it's always an unknown thing. It's so it's so random at some point that some people might get it and some people might not, and it's not entirely just because of your results as well. It's a bit of luck as well. And
randomness.
Yeah, and that's why I decided to secure the scholarship first while I wait for the matriculation results. So that's why I paid Sunway 700 to secure my place there in case I don't get any offer letter in matriculation. Yeah, because I was so scared that I wouldn't get any pre-U to go to. If I missed out on the Sunway one, it would mean that I have to pay a full payment or full fees to study at that institution. Yeah, so that's what I did.
Okay.
So just 3 days after I paid the sum to Sunway, I got the offer for matriculation. But guess what? When I opened it, it was in Kelantan. And that made me think again.
Made you think again?
Yeah, it made me think again because...
And you're not originally from Kelantan, right?
Yeah,
so where are you originally from?
I was born in Malacca.
You were in Malacca?
And
wow, okay.
at 3, I moved up to Kuala Lumpur, to Selangor.
Right.
Yeah, so I've been here since then. And
I see.
technically speaking, if I was offered a placement in a Selangor matriculation college, I would accept it in a heartbeat. Even in the neighboring states like Malacca or Negeri Sembilan, of course.
But you went off
suddenly,
Kelantan.
suddenly it came out the words Kelantan, and I didn't really have any friends who got the same offer as me. I had friends who 10 of them, they got the Pahang offer, and then 5 of them got the Malacca offer. They were all going in groups, and then I started to think about it because going for A-levels would mean that you would, most of us would go for overseas degree or private institutions in the end, because it's harder to get into local public universities using your A-level certificate. Of course, it's a good certification to have, but it would essentially stop your pursuing of your journey in a Malaysian public university. So after considering were back and forth. Like even my parents were like, okay, they of course they preferred me going to a public institution because like both of them are from UM as well. Yeah, and well, with some of like
like
the
parents like daughter.
like like the pictures of the graduation hanging at home and all that. Of course, like from a young age, we all have like the aspiration to study there one day as well. Yeah, so after considering all of the factors, then I went to Kelantan. And I went to Kelantan and survived for 10 months.
And now you're at University of Malaysia.
Yeah.
At the school where your parents basically study and finish your education.
Yeah, I'm from the same faculty as my dad.
Wow.
Yeah, which is the Faculty of Engineering.
How does it make you feel that basically you're studying in the old stomping grounds of your dad like for so many years ago?
Oh, actually, like even prior to receiving our university offer, my parents had already brought us around, touring around the compound a few times because like they were saying, oh, this is where I used to stay, this is where I used to have class.
And then suddenly they're like, boom, like I'm a student.
Yeah, and it was so unexpected because I was expecting to receive my first choice due to it being a very it's a very unpopular choice among like my friend groups or even like students from matriculation in general.
Biomedical sciences.
Yeah,
right?
biomedical sciences is something that people view as not as much of like a good degree in Malaysia. Yeah, and that's why. But I like their course structure, and that's why I picked that as my first choice.
Alright.
But
cool.
with all of my choices listed in the list, the only engineering course I put there, and they gave me just that. So yeah,
I see.
Yeah, I thought about it for like a few hours, and that's why I enrolled into that course.
Maybe it was #fate.
Yeah, I guess so.
Alright, okay. So then maybe would you share with me a little bit? Because like whether you're talking about let's say biomedical engineering or you're talking about biomedical sciences, so then there's been an element of like the sciences. Maybe would you share a little bit about like what led you to have an interest in the sciences? And then what eventually led you to go down like this particular pathway? Because it's not as what would you say, I guess, like the male to female ratio is like within, let's say, like even the engineering faculty at
Okay, so let's answer like the second one first. So for my course itself, females are actually more than males. It's like a 60-40. But in engineering in general, it's quite like there are a lot of males. Yeah, and especially in like other courses, mechanical, civil especially, these two are very male dominant. Yeah, and I guess like faculty-wide, it might be like a 70-30-ish because like the only degrees that have more females are chemical engineering and also biomedical engineering. Yeah, so
interesting.
And I think like the interest in STEM. Last time I didn't know what I wanted to study. I was kind of like lost also because I didn't know where my interest was. I even thought about doing a degree in music before, but ended up not. Yeah, actually thought about that.
That's definitely something I'm going to come up to you to in a quick bit right now.
Yeah.
But I guess like if you were to think about like why it is that maybe like fewer females seem to appear within like these other faculties, like what would you say you think are some of the reasons? Do you think it's maybe like interest or do you think it's like something else of that nature?
I think first of all it's a bit of stereotype as well. Like when you see girls studying engineering, you would see it as a bit of like, oh, why did she choose engineering? Like this question might pop up in like some people's mind. I was also like quite like shocked that I'm able to adapt to this course, though it's not my first choice as well. Because I think that maybe girls, they are more inclined towards like biology stuff. Like so this will push them into like medicine or nursing or something that is along the lines of like healthcare. But in engineering, there's a lot of calculations involved. There's physics and maths, and these are usually the subjects that boys are stronger in, or they actually have a better performance, even from secondary school. That's why I see it, at least from like my classmates or among my friend groups. So boys would always be very good in like maths and also physics, and this is where they score well. And that's why a lot of boys, they end up become engineers. Or not like some of them, they go for doctors, but they also have like a passion for engineering. Like they have the skill sets and also the necessary requirements for them to achieve that as well. So I guess it's also because like of the workplace condition as well. Like for biomedical engineering, I think it's slightly better in a sense that we actually like we have a lot of diverse working options. But let's say if you were to study something like civil engineering, it would definitely be a male-dominant career because like you would be more exposed to different working conditions and probably more male-based working conditions because like you would need like a stronger, I think, mindset both physically and mentally as well to deal with all of the changing circumstances. So I think like the distribution of like the gender among our undergraduates mostly also stems from the stereotype of society. Like boys, that's what they would do, and that's what they, you know, a lot of boys, they play with like rockets, they play with cars at a young age, right? And I guess like they also have a lot of interest for that. And for girls, it's more of like they don't touch so rough stuff, but they want to go for like the softer route.
I see. So then that initial condition leads in turn to maybe like what they study at a later point. That's interesting.
I think so.
Very, very fascinating. That was not something that I thought about before. Okay. Well, that being said then, I would say that that's like all the more compelling because you are not just a science student, but you've also demonstrated like excellence in many different areas. So for those of you who don't know, so Jing Xuan right here is a very proficient writer. She also has, if I'm not wrong, an ATCL, basically in the violin, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, in both violin and piano.
In both violin and piano, not just one. Wow. Do you sleep?
No, it's because I took up music from a very young age.
Okay.
Like it's those, you know, Asian households, they put you to music classes at the age of 5, and you start taking double lessons per week for like one instrument. Yeah, and then as you grow up, then you go through the grades. That's like very normal, right? And at one point after my diploma, like ATCL is actually the first level of diploma in Trinity system. After that, I decided that I didn't have time to focus on both, so I had to choose one. And I ended up choosing violin because it's more mobile and I can bring it anywhere with me, and it's more like personal. It's like something that is additional on you. Instead of piano, it's like you sit down on it and you produce music on it, and you have to like find places that has a piano in the first place to be able to like continue like pursuing your passion. So that's why I chose my the violin. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, cool. Well, that being said then, so there is this idea of a divide, right? Often between people who are more like, say, science-minded and then people also who are more arts-minded. How do you personally navigate this, I guess, junction between the sciences and the arts?
My interest in science is more of like you know, in secondary school you do a lot of labs, you do a lot of like experiments and so on. And like you're interested to know more about what happens beyond, like, okay, this is like the limit of what you learn in secondary school, but what about like what's next? So that was something that I thought about before, like venturing deeper into science, but also I wasn't so sure about all of that. And while I was doing music as well, that stemmed to the arts mind, where why not like pursue like a degree in music? But that didn't happen after that because I felt like you know, I felt like you could actually teach music with like a diploma or like a certification instead of like having to get a degree to it. Like I only need that qualification to teach, but I can actually pursue a career in STEM, which will lead me to like more diverse working like opportunities. I'm not saying music's not good, but for me it's more of like a pastime instead of a career. Yeah, that's my own personal opinion. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Cool. Interesting. For all we know, like you could end up like creating an AI like music generator at some later point. Who knows? Alright, cool. So with that being said, so then like of course, you know, like you can think of these as maybe like, you know, separate domains right here, but do you feel that maybe, well, the sciences and the arts, right, in some ways they kind of like inform one another, and at the very least like in your own world understanding, that sort of thing?
Some people, they tend to they look at science as something that's very crucial in our lives right now, especially like technology and stuff like that. So we actually put technology at the very first priority until like right now we have so many type of innovations coming out. But I guess there has to be a balance within science and arts, because the earth, like without all of the technology and so on, you need something to like keep it like flourishing. And arts such as like music or even literature, all of these are like the human touches to our somewhat like robotic and also like programmed world. Yeah, in a sense that I think it's most important that we find a balance between that. So that's why I'm quite grateful that I have like a passion in music as well, because it gives me some time away from all of the like formulas, the calculations that you are exposed to, and you add in some of like the human touch to it.
I see. Okay, amazing. Cool. Well, that being said, so now you do basically do a lot of different things, including like I think that you perform for like KLPAC and like of course like you've had MSTC as well. So then of course like almost everything right in life, like if you want to achieve like some degree essentially of mastery or like say accomplishment in any area, so you have to like dedicate time, right? So then like how do you personally dedicate time towards like these different passions along the way? Secretly a robot.
No. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think right. Let's say in the STEM field, since like I'm pursuing a degree in engineering as well, right? So of course, I would say the interest will focus more on the STEM and also pivoting sometimes out to different branches, like let's say business or arts, because I feel like a lot of times you don't actually practice or you don't actually work in the specific field that you actually study. You might come out and actually pivot into a different direction. So I think exposure is very important. But focus, of course, I'll place it on like my main degree of study. But I see arts as something like performing with the orchestra. It's something that where I can find resonance with like the people around me, and yeah, you get to mingle with like-minded people and individuals, and also be inspired by them. Because yeah, it's also great to have some place that you can like just release all the possible stress or even some hectic work schedules that you might have been caught up in, and just a place to like relax and also to take a step back and reflect on what you're doing so far. Yeah.
Speaking of reflecting, so I noticed that you have a writing habit on LinkedIn and various other areas as well. So then that seems to be essentially one other thing that we could talk about right there. But maybe will you share a little bit about your writing journey?
I would say that English is not my first language. Chinese is actually my mother tongue. So I don't speak English at home, nor I speak it with my friends unless they do not speak Chinese. Yeah. So I started taking actually English lessons from a young age because I believe my parents wanted me to master and also hone my skills in this language because it's actually quite important. And I think looking back, I'm quite grateful for that because it actually made my life so much easier to communicate with people and also to express my own opinions confidently. Yeah. And writing, it's something that I would say at first I had like writing essays, assignments and stuff during my English classes in secondary or primary schools. But after that, maybe in secondary school, I was involved in like the editorial section of the English part, the department for the school magazine. But I don't usually like have a very I would say a very planned out routine or planned out like habit of writing. It's more of like when I feel like I want to express something or I want to put something into words so that I can document it, and that's where I write out my thoughts. But for me, it comes actually quite free flowing. Like I do actually have like maybe I have like a main idea or I have a thought that I want to express, like the main concept, and I build on it. But the words come to me quite naturally. I guess it might also come from reading because I used to read a lot of like Reader's Digest, the magazines.
I see.
Yeah, and I generally think that it's more of like a practice because like if you enjoy the language or if you do not actually shy yourself away from it, you are able to make yourself more accustomed to all the ups and downs and also the do's and don'ts in a way that you can produce a better quality type of written work or even like spoken, because I think when you communicate with people, it's easy to get drifted away in communications and not use the proper language. But I try my best to like focus on the correct way and also to ensure that like I'm able to hone my confidence in public speaking as well throughout everything that I join. Yeah.
Amazing, cool. And incidentally, so you also spent some time recently at Oxford, did you not? So then maybe will you share a little bit about that right there? So like more experience really of like, taking the English language right there. Because like, as far as I do know, so essentially it was a language course, but I don't really know like too much about that. So maybe you could share a little bit.
Okay, so basically I did a placement test and I was allocated to the advanced class for the language. So
In like UN?
No, in like for the exchange program.
Ah,
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
So like, how does the exchange program even happen in the first place?
Oh, it's actually something under International Kingdom. So basically you apply for it by writing an essay, and this will determine whether you get a partial scholarship or not. And I got a partial scholarship, which is like they don't offer full scholarships, so that's the max that you can get.
Wow, so like how much did
they gave like 50%.
50%?
Yeah. What I discovered, I'll say, from like the 2-week exchange and learning about English specifically at Oxford is you get to speak with a lot of natives, and the level of how they teach and also the culture of their education system is quite vastly different, I would say, from Malaysia. So it's like they start to encourage thinking outside of the box and also lateral thinking from a very young age. So this is something that I do not see quite often in our country. It's more of like we focus on the 4 core stuff like speaking, writing, listening and reading, all of this. So they do all of this, but additionally they also encourage a lot of like external thinking and also like on the big issues. Like they have like this magazine sold by a guy in a red vest on the streets, and it's called The Big Issue. It highlights all the like social issues of the current period of time and comes out weekly. And if you buy it, you're apparently doing a good cause because it's for charity. And they actually like teach their students a lot about all of these issues from a young age. And also I would say that it's kind of fascinating to see that all the teachers have a very good understanding of their history and also their culture, and they are able to transcend all of this information in a very like understandable manner to even like us outsiders or even us from overseas. Like we could understand it well, and also pronunciation, because like yeah, it's very important that I think we go back to the basics. And I think like more often than not we have been like writing maybe in like bombastic languages or using some very great vocabulary, but we have forgotten about like, you know, the core of English and how all the rules work together.
Right.
Like you might know how to use this thing, but you do not know why you are using this thing, like a particular verb or a particular tense structure. And I think like going back to the basics actually helps a lot to, especially if you're a language student, this would probably be even more beneficial for you, because it gives you a very strong foothold and understanding of what you have actually been doing for the past like 10 years, like studying English in your institutions, but without really understanding what it is about, sometimes like forgetting it.
I see, cool. So let's now move into then, I guess, so you do essentially have the practice of writing. We can see that obviously you're very confident in expressing yourself, but then, well, I guess my question then to you is, why express yourself in the first place? Like, what is it that drives you to want to express yourself, document, I guess, like your experiences or the things that perhaps like you've seen around you as well?
Yeah, so I would say that people around me in general, they are really bright, and I've met a lot of inspiring individuals through like all my experiences. Like at a certain event or a certain program, you would meet like some people who like, wow, like they have been through so much of stuff, and I feel like quite inspired when I read on their experiences as well. So like I thought of like documenting my own experiences to also serve as a reminder for myself in the first place, to look back on how far I've come, and also to hopefully inspire some people around me that like, I think you do not have to define yourself to like a certain pathway, even though it's like your main degree of study, but you could actually explore into various paths so that you actually have like maybe a clearer picture of what you actually want in the future. Because like some people, they do not even study the degree that they are interested in, but if you go out and look at the outside world, you can see that there are a lot of opportunities waiting for you. And if you are brave enough to like try and step foot into it, and like when you share your experiences, you can also, people can also know like, oh, this is what you can gain from this particular experience. So yeah, and like some people might have been wondering, oh, is it worth it to join like XXX event? So if you are able to like share out in such a way that people find it like useful, or even if it can like let someone else feel like, oh, this is something that is worth a try, then I guess that it serves the purpose of reminding yourself and also the community that you can be so much more than you actually think. And just like everyone is like building our way and also slowly building on the path towards like excellence. Like it can be very far or it can be very near, but yeah, I would say that if you are trying, then I think that's already a very good thing.
That's amazing. Cool. Now, I guess my last question for you then would be, what would you hope would be, I guess, like the legacy that you would leave upon this earth?
I guess like the legacy that you want to leave behind is very simple, that that you make a sustainable impact on like earth and also on like the people around you. You don't have to think that big yet, but starting from small, you are able to affect and also influence the people around you in a good way, and I guess to inspire people, because some people, I guess that you have to try to slowly build out your confidence and also find your motivation to do certain things. And once you have found it, you would be more daring and also to be more adventurous to try out different things. And this will lead you to like actually your full potential, because I believe a lot of people have like hidden and untapped potentials, but you have to find the right purpose to actually spark something that would actually change your life direction or lead you in a way that you have never discovered before. And that's when you would probably find like your best or true purpose of living. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you.